Welcome back to Read to Rise. My dear friend, have you ever wondered why is it that some people, despite holding supreme power and limitless wealth in their hands, receive nothing but superficial respect wherever they go, and the moment they fall from grace, their entire kingdom collapses overnight? Meanwhile, there are others who possess neither titles nor status, who wield no formal authority at all, yet every word they speak carries the weight to move mountains, and millions are willing to follow them with all their hearts. Today, I want to share with you a secret that may completely overturn everything you think you know about success and leadership. A secret distilled from the bedside book of some of the greatest minds of the 21st century, a book titled Serve to Lead by James M. Strock. There is a paradox hidden within this idea. If you spend your entire life chasing power, striving to stand above others in order to lead them, you will forever remain nothing more than a pursuer of an illusion. But the moment you dare to lower yourself, step back, and ask, "How can I help you?" that is the very moment you begin to grasp the scepter of true leadership. In the 21st century, those who rule through fear and commands are finished. The new era belongs to those who know how to serve in order to lead. So don't leave this video just yet, because the next few minutes may become the turning point that completely transforms the way you define your own value in this life. Let me tell you an ancient parable. Long ago, there was a wise king who dreamed of building an immortal empire. He erected the tallest walls, recruited the finest soldiers, and placed himself at the summit of a magnificent marble tower. From that great height, he looked down upon his people as tiny beings who existed to be governed. The king believed that absolute power came from the submission of others, but then a devastating drought struck the land. The kingdom fell into poverty, and the people had nothing left to eat. From the top of his tower, the king issued commands urging them to remain loyal and patient, yet his commands could not fill empty stomachs. That night, the farmers quietly abandoned the capital city. The next morning, when the king awoke and looked down from his tower, he found his kingdom transformed into a deserted wasteland. The great tower that had once stood so proudly suddenly had no one left to support its foundation. Under nothing more than a gentle wind, it crumbled into ruin. This parable reflects one of the greatest mistakes modern society is making today. We live in an age where everyone longs to become a leader, where everyone wants to stand at the top of the tower. People rush to enroll in management courses, psychological influence programs, and public speaking workshops, all for one purpose. How can I make others listen to me? How can I climb higher in society's food chain? But have you noticed the bitter irony? As people aspire to reach the top, the fewer true leaders the world seems to have. Massive corporations collapse overnight because of executive scandals. Workplace relationships fracture under the weight of distrust. Employees show up every day emotionally exhausted, contributing only enough effort to avoid being fired. James M. Strock calls this phenomenon the leadership crisis. Why does this happen? Because the traditional model of leadership based on transactions, I pay you, therefore you owe me your labor, or I hold the title, therefore you must obey me, has become completely obsolete in the 21st century. The digital revolution and the explosion of the information age have flattened the landscape. Today, an ordinary employee with nothing more than a personal computer can access an amount of knowledge comparable to that of a CEO. Position-based authority has evaporated. If you still cling to the belief that power can force people to follow you, then you are no different from that king standing atop the marble tower, isolated, vulnerable, and destined to be left behind by the times. The urgent challenge of our age is this: how do we create genuine influence? How do we inspire others to willingly walk beside us and devote themselves wholeheartedly to a shared purpose without coercion of any kind? The answer lies within an entirely new mental framework, one that this book offers with remarkable clarity. To help you absorb this knowledge more easily and transform it into a powerful tool of your own, I have organized the core ideas of Serve to Lead into 4 fundamental pillars, corresponding to 4 strategic questions that James M. Strock designed so that we can peel back the layers of limiting beliefs together. First, we must shatter the illusion and understand that everyone can lead because everyone can serve. For generations, we have been conditioned to believe that leadership is a rare gift reserved for a select few extraordinary individuals, people blessed with charisma, commanding voices, prestigious backgrounds, or seemingly limitless intelligence. This book completely dismantles that myth by drawing upon the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., offering a definition so powerful that it has the ability to reshape the way we think. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't need a college degree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Think about a real-world example. Imagine a custodian working in a large hospital. Officially, she occupies one of the lowest positions in the organizational hierarchy. She cannot give orders to doctors. She cannot prescribe medicine to patients. Yet every morning, she does far more than simply clean the floors. She wipes away dirt with genuine care. She smiles warmly at patients who are suffering. She straightens misplaced slippers so that elderly patients will not slip and fall. By dedicating her attention and effort to the comfort and safety of others, she is truly serving them. And because of that, everyone in the hospital ward, from the chief physician to the patients themselves, respects and appreciates her. Whenever she reminds people about hygiene or cleanliness, they willingly listen. That is leadership without a title. It proves that leadership does not come from the chair you sit in. It comes from the value you contribute to the people in front of you. Once this mindset has been established, the next step is to identify your focal point through one critically important question. Asterisk, who are you serving? This question serves as the compass for every action taken by a 21st century leader. While a self-centered individual constantly asks, what will I gain from this? Or how much profit can this customer generate? Or how much productivity can I squeeze out of my employees? The servant leader asks the opposite question, what value can I create for them? James M. Strock emphasizes that whether in business or in life, you must clearly identify whom you serve and place them at the center of your decisions. You are not serving an abstract market. You are serving real human beings, people with emotions, struggles, fears, dreams, and needs. Look at companies such as Apple under Steve Jobs or Amazon under Jeff Bezos. One famous example illustrates this philosophy perfectly. During meetings, Bezos reportedly left an empty chair in the conference room and reminded everyone that the chair belonged to the most important person in the room, the customer. Every major decision at Amazon, from simplifying the purchasing process to accepting short-term losses in order to provide faster shipping, was guided by a single question: how can we serve the customer better? The lesson is profound. When you place the interests of others above your immediate self-interest, the universe has a remarkable way of rewarding you with loyalty, trust, and long-term success. From this central focus, we move into the realm of action, where management and communication become acts of service. In the second part of the book, Strock teaches us how to transform traditional management tools by redefining their purpose. Management is not about surveillance, control, or punishment. Management is about serving the very people you lead. It means removing obstacles from their path. It means providing adequate resources. It means listening carefully to their challenges and helping them perform at their highest level. Likewise, effective communication is not measured by how eloquently you speak. It is measured by how deeply you listen. True communication is the ability to understand another person's pain, concerns, and aspirations, rather than simply waiting for an opportunity to prove yourself right. Jack Welch, the legendary former CEO of General Electric, once expressed this idea beautifully. Before you become a leader, success is all about growing yourself. After you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Think about how this applies in everyday life. When you walk onto a factory floor, instead of immediately demanding to know why production is behind schedule, ask a different question. Is there a problem with the equipment? Do workers need better protective gear? Is there any support they are missing? The moment people feel that you genuinely care about their safety, well-being, and success, they respond with extraordinary commitment. People do not give their best effort because they are forced to. They give their best effort because they feel valued. Finally, the servant leader must pursue continuous evolution by answering two essential questions. Asterisk, is your contribution unique? And asterisk, are you becoming better every day? Serving does not mean abandoning your individuality in order to please everyone. It's quite the opposite. It requires you to discover your unique zone of genius, the gift that only you can bring to the world, and then use that gift to create the greatest possible value for others. At the same time, it demands relentless personal growth. After all, you cannot give what you do not possess. Consider the example of a concert pianist. If he merely reproduces the compositions of others with technical precision, his contribution is not truly unique. But when he pours his soul into every note, blending his life's joys, heartbreaks, victories, and failures into the music, something extraordinary happens. The performance becomes more than sound. It becomes healing. Then it becomes inspiration. It becomes a gift capable of touching the deepest parts of another human being. That is unique contribution. And to create such magic, the pianist must devote himself to continuous practice. Every day, he must refine both his technical skill and the maturity of his spirit. Only then can he serve others through the fullest expression of who he truly is. As I immersed myself in the writings of James M. Strock, I came to realize a truth that deeply moved me. Although the principles of serve to lead were written for the 21st century, they are, in essence, the same philosophical thread that has run through thousands of years of human civilization, the highest wisdom taught by great sages in both the East and the West. Let us travel back more than 2,500 years to ancient China. Lao Tzu, the great philosopher, wrote a timeless insight on the essence of leadership in the Tao Te Chings. The sage places himself behind, yet finds himself ahead. He puts himself aside, yet remains preserved. Is it not because he is free from self-interest that he is able to fulfill his true interests? In other words, the truly wise person does not obsess over personal gain, status, or recognition. And paradoxically, because they are not consumed by self-interest, they often achieve far greater influence and fulfillment than those who relentlessly pursue power. Lao Tzu also compared the greatest leaders to water. Water always flows toward the lowest places. It benefits all things without competing with anything. Because water willingly occupies the places that others reject, it eventually becomes the vast ocean capable of receiving hundreds of rivers. There is a profound lesson hidden within this metaphor. The strongest force in the world is often the one that appears the most humble. The greatest leaders are not those who constantly seek the spotlight. They are those who quietly create value, lift others up, and become the foundation upon which entire communities can flourish. Across the world in the West, the great philosopher Aristotle reached a remarkably similar conclusion. He once stated the essence of life is to serve others and to do good. Different cultures, different eras, yet the wisdom remains the same. True greatness is inseparable from service. There is also a Zen story that has always stayed with me. A young scholar once traveled a great distance to seek the guidance of a renowned Zen master. The scholar wished to learn the secret of wisdom and the ability to inspire others. Without saying a word, the Zen master began pouring tea into the scholar's cup. The cup filled to the brim, yet the master continued pouring. The tea spilled over the sides. It flowed across the table and onto the floor. Alarmed, the young scholar cried out, "Master, the cup is already full. Please stop pouring." At that moment, the Zen master smiled gently and looked deeply into the young man's eyes. Then he said, "You are just like this cup. You are filled with assumptions, ambitions, pride, and the desire to prove yourself superior to others. If you do not empty your cup, if you do not create space within yourself to receive the struggles and suffering of others, how can wisdom ever enter? How can compassion ever find a place to stay?" That lesson carries extraordinary power. Real knowledge does not reside in certificates hanging on walls. It does not live in theoretical lectures delivered inside comfortable classrooms. The deepest wisdom of leadership is born through human experience. It emerges from the sweat that falls when you work alongside your team under the burning sun. It grows through the empathy you feel when you witness the tears of a struggling colleague and choose to extend a helping hand. It develops when you stop asking how others can serve you and begin asking how you can serve them. When you are willing to empty your ego, when you willingly step back so that others may rise, you do not lose power. In fact, you gain access to the most enduring form of power that exists, the power of love, the power of trust, the power of respect. No financial crisis can take it away. No competitor can steal it. No title is required to possess it because it does not come from authority. It comes from character. And character is something that no external force can grant or remove. This is the hidden paradox of servant leadership. The more you focus on elevating others, the more influential you become. The more you seek to contribute rather than control, the more people choose to follow you willingly. And the more you dedicate yourself to service, the more your life acquires a sense of meaning that power, wealth, and prestige alone can never provide. That is why the philosophy of serve to lead is not merely a business strategy. It is not merely a leadership framework. It is a way of living, a way of relating to other human beings, a way of transforming influence from an act of domination into an act of contribution. And perhaps that is exactly what our modern world needs most right now. It's not more people seeking to stand above others, but more people willing to kneel beside others, help them rise and grow together. Because in the end, leadership is not measured by how many people work for you. It is measured by how many people become better because of you. And when you dedicate your life to that mission, something remarkable happens. You no longer need to chase significance. Significance begins to follow you. At this point, you may be saying to yourself, these ideas sound inspiring. They sound profound. But I'm just an ordinary office worker, a recent graduate, or someone struggling to find a job. How am I supposed to apply these principles in the harsh reality of everyday life? My friend James M. Strock did not write this book so that we could read it once and place it neatly on a bookshelf. He wanted us to turn it into what Theodore Roosevelt once called a pigskin library, book worn by sweat, dust, fingerprints, and the marks of daily action. Knowledge only becomes powerful when it leaves the page and enters our lives. That is why the journey begins not with grand gestures, but with small, consistent actions. Begin today by making a commitment to lifelong learning and deliberate practice. Start with what I call the 4-question filter. Before going to bed each night, instead of mindlessly scrolling through your phone, spend 5 quiet minutes with a notebook. Ask yourself honestly and without excuses, who did I serve today? How could I have served them better? What unique value did I contribute today? Am I even slightly better today than I was yesterday? These questions may appear simple, but repeated consistently, they have the power to reshape the way your mind operates. Over time, they rewire your thinking. You gradually shift from a passive, self-centered mindset to a proactive mindset focused on creating value. You stop asking, what can I get? And begin asking, what can I give? Alongside this practice, consciously transform the language you use every day. Eliminate commands that impose authority. Eliminate complaints that produce no solutions. Instead, replace them with questions rooted in service. When speaking with a colleague, employee, business partner, or friend who is facing difficulties, let your first words be, is there anything I can do to make this easier for you? Or, what do you think about this? I'd genuinely like to hear your perspective. You may be astonished by what happens. Within days, people begin responding differently. Walls come down, trust grows, conversations become more open, relationships become stronger, not because you have become more powerful, but because you have become more approachable. An influence built on trust is infinitely stronger than influence built on authority. To avoid walking this path alone, find yourself an accountability partner. James M. Strock emphasizes that the philosophy of servant leadership flourishes when practiced within a community. Leadership is fundamentally about relationships. Growth becomes easier when shared. Find a trusted friend, colleague, mentor, or fellow learner who shares your commitment to personal development. Read together, reflect together, share victories and setbacks, challenge one another honestly, celebrate progress, identify weaknesses, encourage each other to keep moving forward. When two people commit themselves to growth together, the momentum they create often exceeds what either could achieve alone. Most importantly, cultivate a mindset of lifelong learning. The 21st century is changing at breathtaking speed. Ideas that are relevant today may become obsolete tomorrow. Skills that are valuable today may need reinvention within a few years. Therefore, never allow yourself to become imprisoned by a fixed identity. Do not define yourself solely by your current job title. Today, you may be a marketing specialist. Tomorrow, you may learn artificial intelligence to better serve your customers. Today, you may be a teacher. Tomorrow, you may become a creator, entrepreneur, coach, or innovator. The labels matter far less than your willingness to evolve. Remember this: the greater your capacity to serve, the greater your freedom becomes. The greater your ability to create value, the greater your relevance becomes. And the greater your relevance becomes, the more opportunities life places before you. This is one of the most important truths in modern society. Your future is not determined by your title. It is determined by your usefulness. Not usefulness in the sense of being exploited by others, but usefulness in the sense of becoming a source of value that people genuinely appreciate. The marketplace rewards those who solve problems. Communities cherish those who uplift others. Organizations depend upon those who create trust. And every one of those qualities begins with a spirit of service. So do not wait for a promotion. Do not wait until you become a manager. Do not wait until someone grants you authority. Leadership begins now. It begins with the next conversation you have, the next person you help, the next opportunity you have to create value for someone else. Because leadership is not a destination you arrive at someday. It is a decision you make every single day. My dear friend, I would like to conclude today's video by leaving you with a powerful image, the image of a mighty oak seed. Imagine a seed that clings desperately to its hard outer shell. It refuses to break. It refuses to surrender. It protects itself from the darkness of the soil, from decay, from uncertainty. And because it refuses to let go, it remains what it has always been, a lonely acorn slowly fading away with time. But something extraordinary happens when that seed accepts the pain of transformation. The moment it allows its shell to crack open, the moment it surrenders its old form to the earth, the moment it gives everything it contains to the possibility of new life, that is when the miracle begins. The tiny seed stretches downward into the soil and upward toward the sky. Its roots grow deep, its trunk grows strong, its branches spread wide, and one day it becomes a magnificent oak tree capable of sheltering countless lives beneath its shade. Our lives are no different. If you spend your life merely collecting wealth, status, and personal advantages for yourself, building thicker and thicker walls around your ego, you may appear successful from the outside. But in reality, you may be imprisoning yourself within a life of isolation, because no amount of money can replace meaningful contribution. No title can replace genuine connection. No achievement can replace a life lived in service of something greater than oneself. But when you dare to step beyond your comfort zone, when you dare to offer your talents, your time, your compassion, and your energy in service to others, you awaken something extraordinary within yourself. You awaken the potential for greatness. Not the greatness measured by applause, not the greatness measured by followers, not the greatness measured by wealth, but the greatness measured by the lives you touch, the lives you improve, the hope you inspire. Every day presents a choice. You can choose to remain a closed seed trapped within fear, selfishness, and limitation, or you can choose to become a towering tree whose presence enriches the world around it. The choice belongs to you, beginning at this very moment. If this video has touched something deep within your heart, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on the ideas we discussed today. Share this message with someone you care about, someone who is walking the journey of growth alongside you. And if you would like to continue exploring life-changing ideas together, be sure to subscribe to the channel so that we can keep learning, growing, and becoming better every day. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening with an open mind and an open heart. I sincerely wish you strength, wisdom, and courage as you continue the journey of transforming your life into a masterpiece of meaningful service. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and above all, keep serving. Because those who serve with sincerity ultimately become the leaders the world remembers. Goodbye for now, and I look forward to seeing you again on our next journey of knowledge and growth.